Chosen one, your soulmate finally knows the truth. God is sending them to you now, chosen one. You have felt it for a long time now. That tug in your spirit, the invisible thread pulling your heart towards someone you've never fully known but have always somehow recognized. You've walked through the seasons of longing, of quiet hope, of silent prayers whispered into pillows, asking God when asking if your heart was wrong to believe, but you were never wrong. What you felt was real. What you sensed was divine truth wrapped in mystery, and now the time of revelation has come. Your soulmate, the one who once didn't see, now finally knows the truth. Something inside them has awakened. God has stirred their spirit and opened their eyes. The illusions that kept them blind are breaking. They see you, they know who you are to them, and more importantly, they feel it. Heaven is aligning the moment. The universe is responding to the deep cry of your soul. You don't need to chase. You don't need to beg. You only need to receive. God is not making this up as he goes. This has always been part of the plan. And now that their heart knows what yours has known all along, they are coming. Sent by God, led by truth, drawn by love. Your divine union is not just coming, it is unfolding. This is your appointed time. The inner recognition, you knew them before you knew them, long before your eyes ever searched the world for a face to match the longing in your heart. Your soul had already recognized the one destined for you. This knowing wasn't born from logic, nor did it come from physical contact. It emerged in moments when you felt a deep, unexplainable emptiness or an overwhelming sense of love without a clear source. That was the presence of your soulmate, calling to you through the spiritual bond that has existed since before time began. You knew them before you knew them. In the quiet spaces of your heart, in dreams you couldn't interpret, in the deep inner pull you tried to ignore but couldn't. This was the voice of divine union whispering, "They are real, and they are yours." The world might have mocked your belief. Even you might have doubted yourself, but still the feeling wouldn't leave. That's because this connection wasn't imagination in the shallow sense. It was imagination as divine creation. The same force that created the stars etched this person into your spiritual design. You were not being foolish when you believed without proof. You were being faithful to the language of the soul, which always speaks in symbols, signs, and silent conviction. You weren't waiting for someone to come into your life. You were becoming someone ready to receive them. Every heartbreak you endured, every time you had to let go of someone who wasn't right, every lonely night you spent talking to God about the one who didn't yet appear, it was all shaping you to align with the truth of the one who was always meant for you. And the truth is, they felt it too, maybe not consciously, maybe not with the clarity you had, but their soul was never far from yours. In moments of confusion, they were longing for something they couldn't name. In moments of deep stillness, they too felt an ache that didn't belong to anyone in their present life. That ache was for you. The world teaches that love is found through effort, through strategy, through perfect timing and mutual interests. But you, chosen one, know a deeper truth. You know that real love is found in the spirit before it's ever found in the flesh. This person was always yours, not in a possessive way, but in a divine way. They were assigned to you by a power higher than anything this world can define. And when your faith in that spiritual truth remained unwavering, when you refused to settle for less than the promise you felt deep inside, something in them began to awaken. That's how love works in the divine realm. When one awakens fully, it stirs the other to remembrance. You didn't chase them down. You called them forth through the purity of your belief. You didn't demand their arrival. You became their signal, and now that your soul has shouted their name through the silence, they finally know. They're starting to see what they couldn't see before, that you were never just a person, you were a prophecy fulfilled. The confusion, the detours, the karmic lessons they had to complete, all of it was necessary to bring them to this revelation. God has moved within them. The blindfold is coming off. They're beginning to understand why no one else ever fit, why their heart remained restless even when they tried to move on, and why, despite time and distance, your name kept echoing in their soul. They are remembering what you already knew. And this remembrance is not something that can be forced or denied. It is spiritual truth rising to the surface. It is the collision of divine timing and awakened awareness. The illusion of separation is dissolving because love, real love, cannot be delayed once it is recognized. What's more powerful than seeing someone is remembering them, and your soulmate is remembering you now. Not just your face, not just your name, but your essence. They are remembering how your energy felt before they even knew what energy was. They are recalling the safety, the pull, the magnetic knowing that whispers home. And they will come, not because you need them to complete you, but because your completeness called them out of hiding. You didn't attract them by trying harder. You became a match by standing in your truth, by healing your wounds, by elevating your mind. You rose in vibration, and now the bond has become irresistible. There's no more running, no more hiding, no more pretending it was just in your head. The connection you always knew was real is becoming undeniable, even to them. And now, as God lifts the veil from their heart, they are being divinely sent to you, not because you demanded it, but because it is time. Your waiting was not wasted. Your prayers were not ignored. Every tear, every question, every moment of holding on when it would have been easier to give up, it was all fuel for this moment. God was never punishing you with delay. He was preparing your person with revelation. Now they know, and because they know, they're coming, not just to love you, but to recognize you, not just to be with you, but to fulfill what was always written in your spirits long before your bodies ever met. And when that divine recognition happens on both sides, union is not a question. It is a certainty. You were never waiting for love. You were always aligning with what was already yours. Their awakening was orchestrated by God. Now they see clearly there is a moment in the divine story where everything begins to make sense, not just for you, but for the one whose soul has always been intertwined with yours. Chosen one, you have long held the vision. You've carried the weight of belief when nothing in the physical world seemed to support it. You knew deep within that someone was connected to your spirit in a way that could not be explained, let alone broken. You felt them in dreams, in moments of stillness, in unexpected tears that fell for no visible reason. You knew because you were shown, but what you didn't always see was what God was doing on the other side. While you were being prepared to receive, they were being prepared to awaken, and now that awakening has arrived, it didn't come through force. It didn't come through your efforts to make them understand. It came from a divine spark placed by God in their spirit, an ignition that could only happen when the time was right. All the delays, the confusion, the distractions, and even the pain served a sacred purpose, to remove the scales from their eyes and make them ready to see you not just as a person, but as a revelation. They had to walk a path that seemed separate, filled with lessons, detours, and even heartbreaks that were never meant to last. Each of those experiences carved into their soul the space to recognize you. Without those trials, they would not be able to honor the depth of what you carry. They had to be emptied before they could be filled with the truth of who you are, and now, by divine orchestration, the light has broken through. Suddenly, what didn't make sense to them before is becoming undeniable. Your name rings with familiarity. Your presence feels like home. Their soul is beginning to testify to them, this is the one. They may not be able to explain it, but they can't deny it anymore. This is not about emotions or romantic impulse. It's about spiritual awakening. It's about divine recall. God is causing them to remember what their spirit has always known. This is your person, and they now know it. That knowing is causing them to act differently, feel differently, perceive differently. Where there was once indifference, there is now a holy curiosity. Where there was once confusion, there is now clarity born of inner recognition. The fog is lifting. The distractions are falling away. The illusions that kept them separated from you, ego, fear, doubt, denial are crumbling under the weight of divine truth. They are being drawn not by attraction alone, but by spiritual gravity. Something deeper than logic is pulling them toward you. It is the hand of God orchestrating their steps, clearing the path, and placing undeniable signs in their way. They are starting to see these signs, to hear the whispers, to feel the urgency in their spirit. Dreams are becoming vivid, encounters are becoming meaningful, the words they hear are echoing with confirmation. Everything around them is beginning to point back to you, not because you're forcing it, but because God is revealing it. This is not something you could make happen. You could never awaken someone to a truth they were not yet ready to carry. That's why it had to be divine, and now it is. They are seeing you with new eyes, not as someone from their past or a random person who crossed their path, but as the fulfillment of a promise their soul has been searching for. That shift in perspective is everything. Because once the soul recognizes its counterpart, nothing in the world can unsee what God has revealed. They may try to rationalize it, they may resist it for a moment out of fear or disbelief, but the truth will keep rising. The voice of God will keep speaking, the signs will keep appearing, they will have no rest until they return to the source of the revelation, and that source is you, not because you are their idol, but because you are their answer. You are the answered prayer they didn't know they were praying. You are the safe place their heart didn't know it needed, and now that they see it, they cannot unknow it. They are being moved, and not by worldly pressures, but by divine compulsion. God is placing in their heart a holy urgency, a stirring that says, "Go now, don't wait. This is the appointed time," and they will come, not with confusion, but with clarity, not with hesitation, but with intention. You won't have to convince them, you won't have to prove yourself. The awakening has done the work. Their spirit already knows. What you held in faith, they now hold in truth. The journey to this moment was not easy. You had to trust God while feeling forgotten. You had to believe in someone who didn't yet believe in you. You had to walk alone while they wandered, waiting for divine revelation. But now the season of wandering is over. Their vision is clearing, the truth is settling, the knowing is firm, and God is behind it all. You don't have to chase what's being sent. You only have to remain in alignment. Your consistency, your prayers, your surrender. These are what opened the door. And now the one meant for you is stepping through it. Not lost, not unsure, but awakened. God's timing is not just perfect, it is precise, it doesn't miss, and this moment has been timed from the beginning. Now they see, and what they see they will pursue, because what God reveals he also confirms, and what he confirms he completes. This is the hour, they're coming, they're ready, they see you. You called them with your faith. Now love must answer, chosen one. You didn't beg for love, you believed for it. You didn't force destiny, you aligned with it. And now the very faith that you nurtured in silence, in tears, and in sacred solitude has begun to move the heart of the one God prepared for you. You called them, not with your hands, not with your voice, not with desperate pleas, but with the silent, steady fire of faith that refused to be extinguished. In the invisible realm where all things are first born, you spoke their name through belief. You imagined their face, you felt their presence beside you, you envisioned conversations, laughter, peace, and a love that finally felt like home. You imagined union while the world told you to move on. You believed in divine love when circumstances said otherwise. But what you didn't realize is that your belief was doing more than comforting your own heart. It was pulling them toward you. Every time you refused to give up, a signal was sent. Every time you surrendered your doubts and instead chose to feel the love that wasn't physically here yet, you were igniting the spiritual connection that now refuses to be denied. You were calling your soulmate from spirit into form, from confusion into clarity, from distance into union. Faith is the highest frequency, and in that frequency all things are possible. While others wasted time doubting, you were manifesting. While others were chasing illusions, you were drawing forth what was eternally yours. And now love must answer the call. The vibration you released through your imagination and unwavering belief became a spiritual magnet. The one who was blind to their own heart has now begun to feel the pull they cannot explain. They may not have known why your name kept surfacing in their mind, why your energy lingered long after encounters, or why their soul seemed restless no matter how much they tried to bury it. But now it's becoming clear. Your faith has spoken louder than words, louder than timing, louder than distance. It has broken through every barrier. They are feeling what you've known. They are seeing what you've believed, and it is all because you stayed aligned with the divine image placed in your heart. That image was not a fantasy, it was a revelation. God does not give you a desire so deep without making a way for it to be fulfilled. He hid that person in your heart not to tease you, but to train you in faith. He let you walk with the invisible so that when the visible arrived, you would never doubt again. What's happening now is a direct result of the spiritual labor you did in silence. While others thought you were delusional, God saw your devotion. While others settled for lesser loves, you waited in power and purpose, and now the energy you carried in faith has found its target. Your soulmate has felt the vibration and is now rising to match it. You weren't praying to be noticed. You were praying to be remembered, and now they remember. Something in them knows they're being drawn into something bigger than attraction, deeper than preference. They are being drawn into alignment. Your paths are now converging, not by coincidence, but by divine command. They feel the shift. They are beginning to dream differently, feel differently, and live with an urgency they can't explain. Their heart is awakening because your faith gave permission for it to awaken. You created the spiritual momentum, you set the course, you didn't manipulate it, you magnetized it, and now the current is too strong to resist. Love must answer the call. The universe, which was once quiet, is now roaring with confirmation. Signs are multiplying, encounters are orchestrated, divine delays are collapsing, and in the stillness of their own heart, they are beginning to whisper what you shouted in faith long ago. This is real, this is meant. They may not have all the answers yet, but they know they must move. They know they must follow the thread that leads them to you, because what you've sent out cannot return void. The love you imagined is no longer confined to your inner world. It is beginning to materialize in theirs. The emotions they once ignored are now undeniable. The longing they once suppressed is now resurfacing, and behind it all is your faith, echoing like a sacred call through every dimension of their being. This isn't about magic, it's about spiritual law. What you truly believe, you create. What you hold in consciousness with deep feeling must eventually take shape in the physical realm, and that's what's happening now. Love is responding to the frequency of your belief. They're coming not just because you want them, but because they're being called out of fear, called out of confusion, called out of delay, and drawn into a love that was written before either of you arrived on this earth. You chose faith when you could have chosen bitterness. You chose vision when you could have chosen doubt. And now everything is aligning, not by your effort, but by your energy. You never had to chase because God never needed your force. He only needed your agreement. And now that agreement is manifesting in movement. The love you believed in is walking toward you. The one your spirit called is finding their way home. They may not say it in the words you expect. They may not arrive in the timing you would have chosen, but they are coming, and it will be undeniable, because spiritual truth cannot be silenced and faith never goes unrewarded. You called them, and now love must answer. Divine timing is not delay. It was always meant to happen this way, chosen one. The journey you've walked may have felt long, uncertain, and often unfair. You've questioned the silence. You've cried through the waiting. You've wondered if the love you feel in your spirit was just a beautiful illusion that would never materialize. But what you must understand now, more than ever, is that divine timing is not delay. It is perfect orchestration. Every moment of separation, every missed connection, every time they seemed unaware of who you are, was not wasted time. It was preparation. It was precision. It was God weaving together two souls with such care that when the moment arrived, nothing could pull them apart. The world told you that if something was meant for you, it would come quickly, it would come easily, but spiritual truth tells a different story. God doesn't operate by the clock on your wall. He operates by eternal sequences, divine blueprints set in place before either of you took your first breath. When you felt like things were stalling, when you questioned why they didn't recognize you earlier, you were looking through the lens of time. But God was looking through the lens of completion. He wasn't concerned with how long it took. He was concerned that the foundation was right. Had they come too early, they would not have seen you. Had they come before their heart was ready, they would have mistaken you for just another face. But now they are ready. Now the veil has lifted. Now the soul has remembered, and it didn't happen a second too soon or too late. It happened in divine timing. You see, there were layers that had to be stripped away from them. Mindsets they had to outgrow, lessons they had to experience firsthand, not because they didn't care, but because the version of them that could meet your depth wasn't born yet. They had to be broken in certain ways to understand the kind of love you carry. They had to walk alone long enough to know the difference between loneliness and longing, and you had to walk your own road too. You weren't just waiting, you were becoming strong enough to handle the blessing without clinging to it in fear. becoming wise enough to recognize divine love from mere attraction, becoming whole enough to give without losing yourself. Divine timing was shaping you both simultaneously, even though it felt like you were worlds apart. But in God's design there was never a gap, only grace, and now that timing has reached its appointed hour, they are remembering, they are awakening, and you are ready to receive. Nothing is missing. Nothing was lost. What looked like detours were actually doorways to deeper alignment. What felt like rejection was actually redirection into divine connection. Had you come together sooner, it would have lacked the clarity, the depth, the fire forged through the weight. But now it is right, it is mature, it is ordained. The delays didn't deny you, they defined you. They stretched your faith, deepened your intuition, and taught you to trust what cannot be seen. That trust was not in vain. Because even when nothing was moving in the physical, everything was moving in the spirit. God was aligning hearts, closing cycles, softening wounds, and preparing the moment, and now that moment is near. Do not despise the waiting season. It was holy, it was sacred, it was doing what only time in the hands of God can do, creating something eternal. They may not be able to explain what shifted, but something in them knows they cannot delay any more. Something in their heart is telling them the time is now, and that urgency is divine. It is the echo of a spiritual appointment coming into full view. You are not behind, they are not late. You are right on time with heaven's calendar. And when they step into your life, you will see why it had to unfold this way. The maturity, the peace, the knowing, none of it could have been rushed. It had to be revealed, and it has. The same God who kept you through the lonely nights is the same God who is now releasing the promise. He didn't forget you, he was perfecting the gift. Now the person who once didn't see you will see you clearly. Now the love you once felt alone will be returned in full, and it will feel like you've known them forever, because in spirit you have. Divine timing didn't keep them from you, it delivered them to you in the version you were always meant to receive. The one who's healed, the one who's aware, the one who's ready. You didn't miss it. You're stepping into it. The long wait wasn't punishment, it was preservation. God didn't delay you, he protected you, and what's coming will prove that beyond any doubt. This is not a love that was late, this is a love that was prepared. And the time is now. Your union is a divine assignment, love with purpose, not just emotion, chosen one. The love that is coming into your life now is not ordinary, and it is not casual. It is sacred. This union is not just about companionship or emotional satisfaction. It is a divine assignment. God has paired you with this person for a reason far greater than romance. This is about legacy, about spiritual power, about fulfilling a purpose that could never be completed alone. You didn't wait all this time just for affection. You waited for alignment. And now that alignment is taking shape, it carries with it a mantle of responsibility. This is not a relationship birthed from mere chemistry. It's born from divine design. You and your soulmate are spiritual partners on a mission. The love you share will heal more than just each other's hearts. It will restore what was broken in generations before you. It will unlock callings, birth visions, and ignite destinies. You will not just share life, you will activate life in one another. The connection you've longed for is not just a comfort, it's a catalyst, and now that God is bringing you together, understand that this isn't just about personal fulfillment, it's about divine fulfillment. This is love that reflects heaven. This is partnership that carries prophetic weight. You will know it's from God not just because it feels good, but because it feels right deep in your spirit. There will be peace, not chaos. Confirmation, not confusion. Purpose, not aimlessness. The one who is coming recognizes you not just in appearance, but in calling. They will see your light, not be intimidated by it. They will protect your anointing, not compete with it. This is a love that flows with divine timing and echoes with spiritual authority. You won't need to shrink yourself to be loved anymore. You won't have to explain your depth. They will get it. They will feel it. Because they've been prepared too. Just like you've been molded through trials and spiritual refinement, so have they. God has been working on both ends of this divine connection, and now the moment has arrived for your assignments to converge. You were never meant to walk this road alone. The burden was heavy because it was waiting for two hands. The vision was massive because it was waiting for two hearts. The purpose was delayed because it needed two spirits awakened and fully aware. And now they are. The love you are stepping into will come with responsibility. To each other, yes, but also to the world around you. Your relationship will be a testimony. Your connection will carry weight. People will be changed just by encountering the energy that radiates from your union. This is kingdom, level love, and it had to come through a process. That's why it didn't happen on your timeline. It had to happen on God's. You couldn't have built this kind of union while either of you was still holding on to false identities or wounds that hadn't been healed. This love required cleansing. It required surrender. It required both of you to become vessels, not just lovers. And now you are ready. You are ready to build together, to create together, to pour into others together. And you won't have to convince each other to be committed. It will be mutual, because both of you are being led by the same spirit. This is not the kind of relationship where one person is spiritually awake and the other is still wandering. No, this is union between two chosen ones who finally recognize the call on each other's lives. And because of that, your love will be protected, not just by you, but by heaven itself. You have both gone through too much to mishandle this. You have been through too many fires not to see the gold in each other. You have learned patience, discernment, trust, and faith, and now all of that becomes the foundation upon which this sacred connection is built, and this time you will love with intention, you will speak with clarity. You will support with consistency, because the stakes are higher now. God is trusting you with each other's hearts, with each other's purpose. This is not about being completed by someone, it's about being complemented. You are already whole, they are already whole. Together you become unstoppable. The kind of love that changes the atmosphere when you walk into a room. The kind of love that breaks generational patterns. The kind of love that invites heaven to dwell in your midst. This is not just a personal breakthrough. It's a kingdom shift, and it's here. This love will not be built on fantasy, but on faith. Not on temporary feelings, but on eternal truths. You will grow together, pray together, dream together, and rise together. And yes, there will still be challenges, but even those challenges will be sacred, because they will shape your bond, not break it. You will find that even in the hardest moments the foundation is solid, because it was God who laid it, and when God joins two people, no force on earth can tear them apart. This is your season, chosen one. The wait is over not because the time passed, but because the people have been prepared. You are ready, and so are they, not to simply enjoy love, but to steward it, to guard it, to multiply it. You didn't come this far for something shallow. You've been called to something holy, and now your divine partner is being released into your life. Not just to love you, but to walk beside you as the two of you step into purpose, power, and prophetic destiny. This is the love that was always meant for you. This is the moment where heaven meets earth through the joining of two souls sent to do more than just survive. They were sent to build the kingdom together.